The issue is whether or not an EV is better for the planet than a gas-powered car. That's why I call the documentary The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. The good is the technology into these EVs is remarkable. I'd never driven one before until we did this film. And the self-driving, it's out of body taking your hand off the steering wheel and watching the car make lane changes. Now, there is some self-driving technology for gas-powered cars, but it's generally something that the EVs have been doing. And they're fast, they're quiet. The bad, well, it takes fossil fuel generated energy to make it, to transport it, to charge it. Most of the electricity is fossil fuels generated. Some of them is renewable, not most of it, and renewable, not reliable. They're expensive. So for people like Gavin Newsom who want to mandate no more sale of gas-powered cars by 2035, you're mandating that people who are poorer have to pay more money for a car. The ugly. The greater dependence on China for the components that go inside the car, on China for the rare earth minerals that go inside the battery, particularly things like cobalt, lithium, nickel. There is an article in NPR called How Modern-Day Slavery in the Congo Powers the Rechargeable Battery Economy. And a public health professor, been studying this for decades, about modern-day slavery and child labor that's used to mine nickel in places like the Congo. And often children, we're talking about children, 8, 10, 12, using their bare hands to get this stuff out of the ground. It's very toxic. It's going to have long-term health consequences for these kids. And she writes this: we should not be transitioning to the use of electric vehicles at a cost of people and environment of one of the most downtrodden and impoverished corners of the world. The bottom of the food chain, where almost all the world's cobalt is coming from, is a horror show. Talked about people making $1 or maybe $2 a day, if that. Some of these children are forced to do it because of the gangs. And she says China cornered the global market, the global cobalt market, quote, before anyone knew what was happening. Goes back to the year 2009, when the previous president of Congo signed a deal with the Chinese government for access to mining concessions in exchange for development assistance, a commitment to build roads, to build some schools, hospitals, things like that. And that opened the door. And she said, quote, before anyone knew what happened, Chinese companies had seized ownership of 15 of the 19 primary industrial copper cobalt mining concessions down there. So they dominate mining excavation on the ground. And not just that, they dominate the chain all the way through to the battery level. And they have about 70 to 80% of the refined cobalt market and probably half of the battery market, end of quote. And these batteries have a shorter shelf life than the batteries used for gasoline-powered cars, and they have to be disposed of. And there's toxic material in the batteries, which could threaten underground water supply if you put them in the ground. So there are all sorts of considerations that I think a lot of people who buy EVs or thinking about buying EVs do not give much consideration of. So I looked at the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I left it to the viewer to make their own decision about whether or not they want one, whether or not they're willing to pay the price, the additional price, and the humanitarian price. And one more thing. I'm not even sure that there would be the market that there is, but for all the tax incentives that the government is giving to produce electric vehicles. And I remember when the then press secretary was asked if Joe Biden owned an EV because he wants everybody to buy EVs. And she didn't answer the question. So I still think Joe Biden probably doesn't even own one. So I think you'll enjoy it. It's called Electric Vehicles, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and it's on SalemNOW.com. Be sure to check it out.